بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. Indeed, all praises due to Allah, and my peace and blessings be upon His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. First of all, we do welcome everybody. We are heading towards the end of Ramadan. So it's a reminder for myself, a reminder for the brothers. I don't know if there's sisters as well. The sisters are downstairs as well? Yeah. And for the sisters as well. I don't want to say sisters and they're not there.
I just need to do some admin stuff. People can unmute themselves and stuff.
Okay. Basically, our reminder maybe is going to be a different reminder from the previous reminders, and also maybe different from what is being projected by the da'is and the scholars regarding the end of Ramadan. As everybody knows, that the night of Al-Qadr lies in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, and we had prayed the night preceding the Jumu'ah to be the first night of the last 10 nights of Ramadan, and yesterday's night as well, which is the night precedes As-Sabt, and tonight is going to be the third of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And everybody, I'm pretty sure, knows as well how important is the night of Al-Qadr. And I'm sure that everybody is striving to maximize his ibadah and his reward. And I'm pretty sure that you know how rewardable is this night, enough just to recite Surah Al-Qadr, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. And those things that you've heard before. But as I said, I'm going to be dealing with something maybe you never heard before. A person came to Abdullah ibn Umar. Abdullah ibn Umar is a companion whom his father is known, but there's a specialty about him, that whatever he knows from the Prophet ﷺ, he will do it, regardless whether it's ibadah or aada or a habit. He's been known to urinate underneath the tree where the Prophet of Allah used to urinate under. And that is not from the ibadah, but he wants to follow the Prophet ﷺ to the latter. And whenever there's a funeral, radiallahu anh, he will just come and pray the janazah and go home. And there was a person came to him. He said, Absir ma yaqulu Abu Hurairah. Can you just pay attention? I've just heard something from Abu Hurairah claiming that he heard it from the Prophet ﷺ. Allah ibn Umar, he said, what? He said, he claims that the Prophet ﷺ said, he who follows the janazah from the home to the prayer and prays upon him, then he will have one qirat. And if he follows it until he's been buried, he'll have another qirat. And the smallest of the two qirats is like as the mountain of Uhud in reward. Allah ibn Umar picks up some pebbles from the masjid, and he was in the masjid. And remember, the carpet of the masjid at that time was pebbles, chips, stones, not carpet. And he started juggling these pebbles in his hand, the sign of panic. Why is he panicking? Because here he is listening to a hadith telling him about a mighty reward that he missed it. So he wanted to check up on this. So he sends him, his name is Khabbab. Khabbab is not Khabbab is the companion, Khabbab is the slave, and he was emancipated. So he sends him to Aisha to check up. And I'm just saying on his behalf, maybe hoping that this hadith is not correct, because if it's correct, he's going to be blaming himself. So he went to ask Aisha, and and Aisha, she confirmed what Abu Hurairah had said. So he got back, still Abdullah ibn Umar in the masjid waiting. And Aisha, she does not live far away from the masjid. So he said, she confirms what Abu Hurairah had said. So he threw the pebbles. Threw the pebbles as a sign of not being sort of happy and satisfied with himself. And he said the following famous word, وَكَمْ مِنْ قَرَارِيطَ فَرُّنَا. How many qararit? Qararit means, we said, the minimum of it is like the mountain of Uhud. How many qararit we have lost? This is Abdullah ibn Umar is saying this. So what do we need to say ourselves? How many qararit? Forget about qararit. How many qararit? How many little things that we have done from the ibadah? He is blaming himself not for a sin. It's not a sin not to go and follow the funeral until he's been buried. It's not a sin. He's blaming himself in not doing the best, not maximizing his reward. Allah ibn Umar, one day he was in his orchard in the field. Then he realized He used to go to the Jama'ah. He found that the Jama'ah prayed Asr already. He said, my field, my orchard preoccupies me from the Jama'ah. All my orchard is for the sake of Allah. He gave it for the poor people. That's how the companions they were. كم من قراريط فرطنا. Abu Hurairah, he heard about Abdullah ibn Umar checking up on him. So he sees him. He said, you checking up on me? Upon the hadith? He took hold of him. He said, come. He took him to Aisha. Ya al-Mu'mineen, behind a barrier. He's asking him. Did you hear the Prophet ﷺ? He said, he who follows the janazah, the bear, which is from the moment it is being dead until it's being prayed upon, and he prays upon it, he will have a qirat. And then if he follows it up all the way until it's being buried, he will have another qirat. She said, yes, I've heard that from the Prophet of Allah. Then he looked at Abdullah ibn Umar. He said, I wasn't busy with my orchards and busy with my merchandise. I was always with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, yes, Abu Hurairah, you are the most knowledgeable. أعلمنا وأفقهنا وأحرصنا على صحبته. You are the most knowledgeable and the most keen to be with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No, I just followed the Prophet of Allah for 4 years. He only embraced Islam just before the Battle of Mu'tah. And that is the year 7 after Hijrah. So it's not really that much, just before the conquest, the regaining of Makkah, Fath Makkah. And yet he narrated more than anybody else. Radiallahu anhu warda. Abu Hurairah was poor because money always occupies you, isn't it? Money, you want to buy this and be this. He was not busy with the money. So, كم من قراريط فرطنا. How much qararit we have wasted. Now, following up with this hadith, maybe it's the very first time you've heard this hadith. And this hadith will tell us another dimension for the last 10 nights of Ramadan. It is not the Quran recitation. It is not the Taraweeh prayer. It is not the Umrah. It is not the dhikr of Allah. Something else. Prophet ﷺ, he said, and I'm going to start with the hadith and then I'm going to go to the second hadith. First hadith, قال المؤمن يألف ويؤلف. The believer is a person who is easy to socialize with and he's socialized. لا خير في من لا يألف ولا يؤلف. It is no good if the person who does not socialize, nor it is easy to socialize with him. You don't like to be with somebody who does not socialize. You talk to him, he does not smile. He doesn't even, Assalamu alaikum, brother, I'm busy. You don't want to be with that. You don't like that person. So the Prophet said, La khayr, it's no good in that person. Regardless whether he is coming to the prayer and his Quran is, that's for him, his Quran is for him, his Salah is for him. And then he said, وَخَيْرُ النَّاسِ أَنْفَعُهُمْ بِالنَّاسِ. Listen, the best of the people is the best to the people. The best of the people is the most helpful to the people. Which one do you like? You ask yourself. Somebody who's all the time, MashaAllah in his Quran, MashaAllah in his Taraweeh, MashaAllah in his Sunnah, MashaAllah in the Dhikr of Allah, MashaAllah in his Deen. Brother, can I just help me to do this? Brother, I'm busy in Quran. Do you like this person? Or do you like that one? Whenever whenever you want him, he's there. Gives you water, put the mat down, put the food, mashallah. Which one do you like? Which one is more famous? Which one is the one who's going to get the credit from the people? Is it the one who's always in the ibadah or the always mashallah? Wallahi, every time I ask him for something, he's there. If I want money, he's there. If I want help, he's there. That's the one that you like. And that's why he said, Khayrun nas, the best of the people. He didn't say the best of the people in sight of Allah. The best of the people is the best for the people. But the second hadith, he said, I'm going to be sharing with you. The hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar again. Radiyallahu anhu wa an abi. He said, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ, he asked him the following question. He said, Messenger of Allah, what is and who is the best of the people in the sight of Allah? And what is the best of the deeds in the sight of Allah? Prophet of Allah said, Khayrun nasi indallah, the best of the people in the sight of Allah now. Khayruhum minnas anfa'uhum minnas. The one who is the most beneficial and helpful to the people. As for what is the second question, what is the best of the deeds in the sight of Allah? Listen. Number one, sururun tudkhiluhu fi qalbi akhik. Joy, that you make it enter into the heart of your brother. He's sad. He lost a member of his family. You come and comfort him and bring him joy. I'm there for you, brother. Don't worry. And this is, by the way, qadr of Allah. And you should not be unhappy about the qadr of Allah. Yes, you will cry. You can give him comfort. Number two, takshifu anhu kurba. He's in crisis. He's in a problem. Brother, don't worry. I'm with you. Jazakallahu khairan. Best of the acts. Number three, تدفع عنه دينا. He's in debt. And you know the debt makes you lie, makes you disappear, makes you hide yourself from the creditors who are predators. You can't even pray. Some of the people even die because of the burden of the debt. Wallahi, it's too much for them. Brother, don't worry. Your debt is 100,000. My pocket is your pocket. I'll help you. تطرد عنه جوعا. He's hungry. Come and feed him. When you're hungry, subhanallah, you act bizarrely. You can't really even focus. You can't come to the Eid prayer because you're hungry and your children hungry. No, brother, I'm your neighbor. My pocket, my kitchen is your kitchen. So number 4, تطرد عنه جوعا. Then listen. He said, the Prophet ﷺ, وَلَأَنْ أَمْشِي فِي حَاجَةِ أَخِي. And verily, to go along with my brother, not the blood brother here, Islam brother, to fulfill his need, what he needs, خَيْرٌ لِي, better than for me, for the Prophet. نَعْتَكِفَ فِي هَذَا الْمَسْجِدِ شَهْرًا. To make i'tikaf in this masjid for a month. I'tikaf, you know what's i'tikaf? I'tikaf, you divorce the whole dunya and you stay in the masjid. Ibadah, dhikr of Allah, the prayer of Taraweeh, the recitation of the Quran, all of that in the i'tikaf. You can't better ibadah have than the i'tikaf. Yet, to walk with your brother, to fulfill his need is better than making i'tikaf and not in Cumberland Masjid, in the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, where i'tikaf is the one which have a consensus with the scholars that there's no i'tikaf except in the 3 masajid, with a difference among the scholars. In the Masjid of the Prophet of Allah. Then listen. وَمَنْ كَفَّ غَضَبَهُ سَتَرَ اللَّهُ عَوْرَتَهُ. And he who stops his anger, Allah will hide, will not disclose his shameful acts, his shameful defect points. He will cover that for you. Then he said, وَمَنْ كَظَمَ غَيْظَهُ. And he who suppresses his rage, وَلَوْ شَاءَ أَنْ يُمْضِيَهُ لَأَمْضَاهُ. And if he was willing to go on ahead and fulfill his rage, he would do so. But he rather not to fulfill his rage. He's even capable, but he steps on top of his ego. He stops on top of his desires. Khalas, I don't want to fulfill the rage. مَلَأَ اللَّهُ قَلْبَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ بِالرِّضَى. Allah will fill his heart with comfort on the day of resurrection. His heart will be satisfied because he had suppressed his rage in this dunya. Then he said again, وَمَنْ مَشَى فِي حَاجَةِ أَخِيهِ حَتَّى يُثْبِتَهَا. And he who walks with his brother until he fulfills his need. That means not just to go and help him in his need, no, until it's been fulfilled, achieved now. You have now done what he wanted. أثبت الله قدميه يوم القيامة يوم تزور الأقدام. Allah would affirm his feet on the day of resurrection when the feet are not firmed. In the grave, you're going to be asked by the Munkar wa Nakir. Allah will give you firmness. In your answer, Rabbi Allah, Nabi Muhammad, wa kitabi al-Quran, amantu billah, amantu bi rasulih, saddaqtu bi kitabih. This is because you have fulfilled the need of your brother. Again, when you are on the bridge, you're about to fall into the hellfire, Allah give you steadiness. Why? Because you have fulfilled the need of your brother. Then the Prophet of Allah encloses this hadith with the following statement: وَإِنَّ سُوءَ الْخُلُقِ لَيُفْسِدُ الْعَمَلِ كَمَا يُفْسِدُ الْخَلُّ الْعَسَلِ. And verily the bad manners will ruin your deeds just like the vinegar would ruin honey. Do you know that the vinegar ruins honey? The doctor is here. Where's the doctor here? Dr. Nazir? Where is he hiding? He's hiding from me. If you put vinegar on honey, you get a reaction. It's called oxymel. Oxymel means you're turning it into a syrup. It's not honey anymore. And the Prophet of Allah knew about this before Dr. Ibrahim was graduated from his university. It turns it into syrup. And that is what it does, your bad manners. What is the point of coming to the first row? But you shout in the masjid, your foul language, you are ill-mannered, and when somebody hears your name, oh, A'udhu Billah, brother, don't mention this name in front of me. I don't want to know about that guy. Why is A'udhu Billah? The worst of the people, whom the people try to avoid, in case he snaps. He acts, out of the blue, and he comes with bizarre words, you just avoid him. You don't know what's going to come up with. That's the worst of the people. Bad manners would ruin your salah, would ruin your ibadah, would ruin your dhikr of Allah, would ruin your Quran. Look at yourself. You want to know how good you are? Ask the people about yourself. Don't ask directly. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you the truth. That's your reputation. That's your reputation with the people. That's the reputation you're going to travel from this dunya with. Ask the people, what do they think about you? Do they say that you're a good person, socializing person, easy to socialize with? Or he's to himself, Akhi, just don't bother with him. Akhi, you don't know what he's going to come up with. Akhi, he's really lounge, he's really sharp. This is what the reputation you're going to travel with. Prophet ﷺ one day, with the companions, passes in front of him a janazah. Companion says, MashaAllah, what a good socializing person he is. MashaAllah and MashaAllah. He said, Wajabat, wajabat, wajabat. He deserves it, he deserves it, he deserves it. They don't know what he's talking about, the person. He deserves what? Then another janazah passed by. And they said, what an evil person he is. How hard to socialize with this person. How bad he is. He said, wajabat, wajabat, wajabat. He deserves it, he deserves it, he deserves it. Here the Prophet ﷺ, when he said this, companions said, hang on a second, the same word for the one we had praised and for the one we have criticized. What's wajabat? Umar Khattabi asked, Prophet ﷺ, what is wajabat? Prophet ﷺ said, whom you have praised, he deserves Jannah. Whom you have criticized and said bad things about him, he deserves hell. Angels are the witnesses of Allah in the heavens, and you are the witnesses of Allah on the earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have angels on your tongue which will speak about what is in this person, if it's good or not. So Allah will make you speak. You say, Asabatu lammatu malak, in the hadith, that he's been touched by the angels. So he speaks, subhanAllah, like revelation. Allah makes the angels to speak on your tongue to say he's a good, and those, of course, the righteous people, not the drunkards. So somebody who's in the pub, he died, so his mates from the pub, oh, he's a good bloke, he's going to drink a lot with us. This testimony is rubbish. The testimony of the brothers, the righteous people, the one who knows him, how good he is, not just coming to the first row. So how good it is for the person who's volunteering to put the mat and bring the food and put the water, and he's there when he's needed, or he's the one who is just keen for the first row, keen to make the adhan, keen to recite the Quran, keen to do the prayer, and he's leaving all of those people. Which one is better now with the hadith? The one who serves the people. The best of the people is the best for the people. So let's just get up and not being selfish in our ibadah. Your prayer is only for yourself. The first row is good, but helping the people is better. So if, for example, the administration or the governor or the imam had said to you, you guard the door, make sure there's no toddlers coming. I'm just saying, for example, no children to come in. For you to go there and fulfill that task, better for you than, brother, I don't want to lose my first spot in the first row. Forget about that. It's more rewardable. This is for the benefit of the whole community. Because the children maybe jump up on the back of the people, they are causing nuisance, they have hazards, they may be going to the street on their own, and all of those sorts of things. But you're implementing something which is for the benefit of the society, not for the benefit of yourself. The best of the people is the best for the people. Now, coming to the second part of my talk, which is we have built ibadah, alhamdulillah, in the month of Ramadan. We don't want to lose this ibadah. We don't want to come at the end of Ramadan, ibadah has gone out of the window. Allah Azza wa Jal, He had warned us and warned the companions and warned the believers. If you build the ibadah and then like this, and you destroy all of you have built. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّتِي نَقَضَتْ غَزْلَهَا مِنْ بَعْدِ قُوَّةٍ أَنْكَاثًا. Allah said, don't be like that woman, well known in Mecca. She unravels what she had knitted. You know the net? When I was a kid, my mother, she taught me how to knit. Really patience here. She go this through this and through that. To knit little thing like this, a jumper, it takes me about 3-4 hours. Because I'm not experienced. And to make a pattern in it, forget about it. It takes me a day or two. You can make a flower in it. I learned it when I was a kid. Now, to build it in 3-4 hours, but to unknit it, to unravel it, takes me what? 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 5. I used to love to unravel it. Because my mother used to give me jumpers, which is old. So to unravel it, and to re-knit it to make it what? A better one. To unravel it takes me 1 minute, all of it, mashallah. But to build it takes me days. So Allah is saying to us, don't be like that woman who just comes whole day, she is knitting. At the end of the day, she unravels it. What did she build? Nothing. Same thing here with the ibadah. You build it, mashallah, Ramadan, and then after Ramadan, you finished. That's why Ka'b ibn Malik, one of the companions, he had said, a person, he is in Ramadan doing the ibadah, yet he is saying to himself, as soon as Ramadan finished, I'm back to what I used to do from the bad things. So before Ramadan, let's say he had a girlfriend, Ramadan comes, no girlfriend. But he said to himself, as soon as Ramadan comes, please come back again. Na'udhu billah. This is a person who's guaranteeing himself a place in hell. Ka'b ibn Malik, he said, that's not me. But a person who is doing ibadah, and yet he says it to himself, I will, inshallah, be consistent with this ibadah, then he's guaranteeing himself a place in paradise. The Imam al-Shibli, scholars of Salaf, used to say, when somebody said to him, you know, these people, they worship on Ramadan, as soon as Ramadan is finished, they're back to the sins. قَالْ بِئْسَ الْقَوْمُ هُمْ. Woe to these people. What an exhausted people they are. They only know the rights of Allah in the month of Ramadan. One of the great scholars of the Salaf as well. And yet he's been accused of being Sufi, Bishr al-Hafi. When he was asked, I think it's Imam al-Shibli, I'm going to swap them together. He was asked, which is better, the month of Rajab or the month of Sha'ban in terms of worship ibadah? He said, don't be Rajabi. Don't be Sha'bani. Be Rabbani. Rabbani means, it's not, Rabbani, the one who's one of the great figures in Afghanistan. No, Rabbani means belonging to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rabbani, to Allah. Be Rabbani. And we say, don't be Ramadani. It's not just Ramadani, ya ikhwan. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, his ibadah was consistent. When Aisha was asked, how's his ibadah? She said it was little, but consistent. It's not that much. It's nothing to do with the quantity. It is to do with what? Quality. Quality, akhi. Just have that little ibadah and keep consistency on it. Prophet of Allah, he used to make qiyam all the time. And that's why Aisha was asked about the qiyam of the Prophet of Allah. She said, he never exceeded 11 rak'ah, whether in Ramadan or outside the month of Ramadan. So he used to do qiyam, even the night before the Eid. He used to do qiyam. But he does not specify the night before the Eid for the qiyam. And so the Prophet don't specify the night before the Eidain for qiyam. But he used to do qiyam, his own witr. The Prophet never prayed less than 7 rak'ah. Never. Minimum is 7 rak'ah of his witr. But from his saying, he said, فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُوتِرْ بِوَاحِدٍ. If he wants to make witr, let him do what? 1 rak'ah. 1 rak'ah. But from his saying, but from his action, never less than 7. And he's guaranteed paradise. His previous and future sins have been forgiven for him. Yet the Prophet of Allah ﷺ, he does not stop thanking Allah Azza wa Jal, making ibadah, being grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal. أَفَلَا أَكُونُ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. He used to stand up in the prayer until his feet is swollen. And then he used to say the following dua. With all this guarantee for paradise, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hawri ba'da al-kawr. Repeat that dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hawr ba'da al-kawr. Very few words. What does it mean? Oh Lord, I seek refuge in you to go in disaster, to ruin my ibadah after I have built it. And that's the Prophet of Allah saying it. It's not us. And he's guaranteed Jannah. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hawr ba'da al-kawr. After you have so many people, mashallah, the ibadah, yet plunged into their heads. Left the deen and left everything. A'udhu billah. Allahumma ya Rabb, nas'aluka al-afiyah. Wallah, we don't know what's going to happen to us. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. O you who believe, fear Allah as you should be feared, and die not except in a state of Islam. Ibn Kathir, when he translated this, interpreted this ayah, how can the person make sure that he's gonna die as a Muslim? Because Allah is saying, do not die except as Muslims. And we know that our hearts is in the hands of Allah. It's between 2 fingers of Allah. He will topple them, turn them over the way He wishes. Could be Muslim, kafir, How can I then guarantee, how can I fulfill the following verse? Don't die except in a Muslim. Live your life as a Muslim. And that's a universal law from the Almighty. He who lives as a Muslim will die as a Muslim. But he who lives as a Muslim, but in his heart is not a Muslim, that's before the day of us. Before he dies, Allah Azza wa Jalla will show his reality. You'll find him doing all types of good ibadah. Just before he dies, the destiny will proceed. It would show what is inside him. Because what it looks is praying. What it looks is giving charity. What it looks is mashallah, dhikr of Allah. But inside of his own, he's a hypocrite. Allah will expose him. So he will do the acts of the people of the hell, and he will die on that, and he will enter the hell. So he said, Al-Imam Ibn Kathir, Inna min mannillahi wa karamih. And I'm quoting word for word. From the blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal on us, on his creation. أنه من عاش على شيء مات عليه. He who lives upon something, he will die upon it. He lived in the dhikr of Allah, he will die in the dhikr of Allah. If you lived in songs, you will die singing. If you lived on dancing, you'll die dancing. If you die, mashallah, if you lived on good thing, you'll be on a good thing. That's why the prophets, they will never die except in a good state. You'll never find a prophet will die in a toilet unless he is imitating to be a prophet. And you know what I'm talking about. Yes, you will not. Prophet will die about a good thing, dhikr of Allah, good thing. Min alamati husn al-khatima. From the good ending that the believer will die with certain things like rashhun ala al-jabeen, sweat on the forehead, with a kalima on his lips, la ilaha illallah. It's not all the time you're going to die with la ilaha illallah. Prophet of Allah did not die with la ilaha illallah. He died on the following words, Ar-Rafiq al-A'la, Ar-Rafiq al-A'la, the highest companion. He was being given the choice. Should he stay? Should he go? No, I want to go. The highest companion. He doesn't want us. Highest companions. Each prophet will give him the choice. Allah Azza wa Jalla will give him the choice. You want to live? We'll go. I want to go. All prophets want to go. Even Musa alayhi salam. When Musa alayhi salam at the beginning, the angel of death came to him in a human being form without any permission. He just found him in the house. Who are you? Angel of death. What do you want? Take your life. Gives him a punch in his eye. Knocks his eye out. He's a human being. If you're an angel, you cannot do that. So the angel goes to Allah Azza wa Jalla, you send me your Lord to somebody, he does not want to die. He said, okay. He put his eye back. Give him a choice. Let him put his hand on an ox. Ox means a bull. The number of hair he touches, the number of years he lives. So the angel descends down. Now his eye is back. Musa, he sees him. How can it be? His eyes been knocked out and his eyes come back. There must be an angel. Now he knows he's an angel of death. Your Lord is saying to you, Salam, if you want to live more, put your hands on an ox. The number of hairs you touch, the number of years you live. And then what? He said, Musa alayhi salam. He said, then death. He said, then let it be now. Even Musa is a strong man. Then let it be now. You want to go trouble to Allah Azza wa Jalla. You know the hands of the prophets at that time. Musa salam, he lived more than 200 years. And the more you live, the bigger size he was. So you got one hand of his, equivalent to maybe size of 2 hands of ours. You know, the stature of Adam, he was what? 30 meters in height. 30 meters, it's a 10-story building. And then the stature of the human being gone down, decreased until it reached us. So when he puts his hand on an ox, he's going to touch at least 2,000, 3,000 hairs. He's going to live for a long, long time. If you're being given the choice, what are you going to do? Can I have my both hands, please, on the ox? Not one, both hands. But the prophets, they want to trouble to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So let's just focus upon keeping our ibadah that we have fulfilled. Yes, the Prophet ﷺ used to do dhikr of Allah and recitation of Quran and making qiyam in all the nights, but in Ramadan more. Yes, the Prophet of Allah used to give sadaqah all the time, but in Ramadan more. But it doesn't mean more than there is no sadaqah. More in Ramadan, then there is nothing more ibadah after Ramadan. No. We have to keep consistent on this ibadah, but definitely we're not going to do as much as we have done in the month of Ramadan. Month of Ramadan, Ikhwan, is finished. You see how fast it finished? Have you noticed that? Have you noticed, Ikhwan, how fast Ramadan before was fast, this one even faster? We want to hold it. It's running away from us. Running away from us. So 6 days and finished. Going to be Eid. Our Eid is going to be Al-Ithnain, they call it Monday, or Al-Ahad, which they call it Sunday. One of the two. Sit today, except Saturday, they call it. Okay? So it's going to be Al-Ahad or Al-Ithnain. Oh, well, then it's finished, Ikhwan. If you haven't done very well, if you haven't done as much as you should do, don't be ashamed of yourself. Don't be in despair. You've got ahead of you, mashallah, plenty of days. Those are the nights of Al-Qadr. And you know what the night of Al-Qadr? فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلُّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. In that night, فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ. That means the destiny for the year will be set on the night of Al-Qadr. So the night of Qadr, the angels will take their task for the year ahead on the night of Al-Qadr. فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلُّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. This is the night of Al-Qadr, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, تَتَنَزَّلُ فِيهَا الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Angels will what? تَتَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ فِيهَا وَالْرُوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِ. Angels will come down in numbers. And that's why too many angels, no space for shayateen. Too many angels, no space for shayateen. That's why you'll find the shayateen effect is not that. But shaitan is still, ikhwani, there. The shaitans, not all shayateens have been locked. You're wrong if you think that. No, the shaitan is still there. But his effect is very weak. As the powerful jinns, they are being chained. But the small ones, there's human shayateen loose. Human shayateen, everywhere you go outside, there's plenty of them. Okay, plenty of them. But the small shayateen is there. And there's lots of hadith for this. For example, hadith of the Prophet of Allah making i'tikaf in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Who visits him? Safiya, his wife. And when she gives him a visit, during the night, he wants to go and say farewell to her. So he goes to the door of the masjid and he chit-chats with her in the masjid to say so her goodbye. From the Ansar, 2 men walking by. They saw the Prophet of Allah talking to this woman. She's covered during the night. So he just went quickly to give more privacy to the Prophet. So the Prophet said, slow down. She's Safiya, his wife. He said, subhanallah. That means, do you think we're going to have any sort of accusation to you, Messenger of Allah? Do you going to think wrongly about you, Messenger of Allah? He said, no. I was worried that the shaitan will put something in your heart. So shaitan, even the last 10 months of Ramadan, is loose. Not just loose on anybody, on the companions themselves. I was afraid that the shaitan will put something in your heart. Now Safiya. It's Safiya. And of course, the companions never thought of the Prophet of Allah anything wrong, but the Prophet of Allah, he's telling us and teaching us, regardless of who that person is, always clarify. Al-bayan yatrudu shaitan. That's what we learned. Clarification will expel the shaitan. So if you are in charge of the masjid and you're collecting money, it's better to show to the people what is the money for. Otherwise, they're going to say, you bought that car that day. It must be from the collection. He has his house. It must be from that collection. What did they need? What do they ask him? Why are they asking for £55,000? Huh? What do they need it for? They don't know there's a bills of electricity. There's a bill. Those people who are in charge of the masjid, because I'm now in charge of the masjid, I'm feeling the heat. I'm feeling the heat. The person who's volunteering or putting himself in such a position, he has to have patience and a shield by which he's going to shield himself from the ammunition, from the shots onto him. You are a thief. You are a con. You are. All of these words are going to come to you. But ya akhi, abshir, have a glad tiding. All of that hasanat for you. On the day of resurrection. And that's why the best of the people is the most helpful to the people. Prophet ﷺ, he said, the one who mixes with the people and he is patient regarding their shortcomings is better than the person who isolates himself from the people and away from the evils and shortcomings. So mix with the people. You know that they're going to be talking about you. They're not going to be stabbing your back. Mix with them and be patient. More rewardable than saying, I don't want to speak to these guys. I want to mix with these people. Just mix with them, be patient, and teach them the sunnah slowly, akhwani. So the angels, they're going to descend down in this night. It could be tonight. Could have been last night. For me, it wasn't about previous nights. It was not. I was watching for those. Because whenever there is, like the night of Al-Qadr, you need to make the tahri. Is this night compared to the other night? Is it but the best, because it's a calm night, weather-wise, everything-wise, it will be a calm night. And also the following day, the sun will rise in a way which is different from the other days, where you'll be able to look at the sun for a bit of time. It comes out feeble, orange, brassish, and no rays. You could look at it. You know, the normal sun, normally, okay, you'll find the sun, as soon as it comes out, you can't even put your eyes on it. Straight away burns it. But this one, following day, will be feeble, weak rising. So we need to as well to stay up until the sunrise and watch for the sun to see if it's the night of Al-Qadr. Imagine that, you know, these people who are having the lottery, you know, the lottery, they buy ticket, isn't it? Raffle tickets. What do? They're watching. If they're going to get the number or not, yes. To get it. Because they're going to win 1 million, 100,000. Muslims, they are giving now a night which is better than 1,000 nights. Are they waiting until Fajr to see if it's the night of Al-Qadr? Are they going to win? Do they do that? No, they don't do that. Sleep. But if it's a lottery ticket, he's waiting. He will not sleep. He put everything on hold. I want to know, is he a winner or not? When it comes to the deen, he does not want to know. Did he win the night last night or not? What a loser we are. Allah Azza wa Jal, from his universal law, when there is a great night, he will entail more of ibadah. It's a great night. The night had witnessed the revelation of the Quran, Kitabullah. That is because of that, we want to as well to go ahead with what Allah told us, the tahri, investigation. It's not the night or not. Number 2, making ibadah. Okay. Number 3, Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِذَا دَخَلَ الْعَشْرُ الْأَوَاخِرِ, when the last 10 nights starts, شَدَّ مِئْزَرَهُ. شَدَّ مِئْزَرَهُ, that means he detaches himself from his wife. He will just, now he's isolating himself for the ibadah. Number 2, قال أحيا ليلة. He will make his night in ibadah. It doesn't mean that he stays awake. No, he go work the following day. You need to be awake as well for your fajr properly. You can't just wake up in the fajr, you don't know what you're saying because mashallah you made qiyam, but you don't know what you're saying in the fajr prayer. No. Have your relaxation. You need power. Your body needs some sort of relaxation. You cannot just exhaust your body and you say, wake up for the fajr. He's not going to wake up for the fajr. Number 3, قال أيقظ أهله. His family is along with him. So this is the time you're going to tell your family, no more invitation, no more cooking. We're going to be focusing on the ibadah. It's only a few days, then it passes. Let's recite Quran. Let's do dhikr of Allah. Let's help the people when they need help. أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى لي ولكم الثبات على دينه وأسأله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعلنا من الفائزين بليلة القدر وأسأله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعتق رقابنا من النار. I've got plenty in my head, but I would like to make a share with this, inshallah, because we're coming to the, close to the iftar, even though that it is about an hour, maybe almost 2 hours or something. But your glucose dropped down now. Too much information, you're not maybe able to process it. So I would say it's better to make you participate in questions, and then that will bring life into your eyes. So some people got questions about Ramadan, some people got questions about the night qiyam. Some of you have got questions as well about anything else. As long as within we are the frame of the deen, go ahead. If I've got an answer, I will give it to you. Otherwise, I'll say Allahu Ta'ala. So let's just give you a chance, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. If anybody wants to ask a question, got questions already from the Zoom. What
was the dua again?
So the dua, dua, which is the one to do with seeking in Allah Azza wa Jal refuge or help, not to go into disaster after building the ibadah. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika. This is on Allahumma inni a'udhu bika. So I seek refuge in you. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika. This is a common sentence from everything. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika. Min al-hawri ba'da al-kawr. That's it. Min al-hawr ba'da al-kawr. That's you need to memorize. Min al-hawr ba'da al-kawr. Khalas, finished. Very simple dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hawr ba'da al-kawr. Now. طيب, anybody else? جزاكم الله خيرا. طيب, تفضل.
So you know that Ishraq prayer, is it true that when you do it and the reward is that you did a Hajj and Umrah with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Yeah. So is the hadith regarding the Ishraq prayer that if you do it, then you will get the reward of Hajj and Umrah with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? There's a mixing here. First of all, number one, they don't have in the hadith something called Salatul Ishraq. Ishraq means sunrise prayer, because you're not allowed to pray when the sun is rising. Okay. But this is a terminology being given by some of the scholars called Salat Shuruq. But just not to confuse the people, I would not really call it Salat Shuruq. I would call it Rak'atayn, 2 rak'ah, after the sunrise had risen. So the Prophet said, had risen a spear length. Spear length is about 2 meters. And I myself measured 2 meters in the horizon. I was in my camera. How much is 2 meters? It's about from 12 minutes to 15 minutes. 10 minutes, you are on the border. So when sunrise says, for example, for you at the moment, let's say sunrise, according to Sheikh Google, let's say it's 5 o'clock. So give it 15 minutes. Why I'm saying not 12 minutes here? Because even the Sheikh Google giving you this, the real sunrise is about maybe it's not on the same time. I've measured it according to what I've seen in a number of places. It's about 2 to 3 minutes. The sun would rise after the time says sunrise. Okay, so the sun rises 2 to 3 minutes after the actual one which it says, because they measure from the angles. They don't measure from where you are. The angle. What is the sun angle? Okay, 18, 12, and all of that. So I would say 15 minutes after the timetable of the masjid says sunrise, 15 minutes, and you get up and you make 2 rak'ah. As long as you have prayed your fajr and you stay in your majlis, it's not saying the majlis you change yourself, but you are making, your dhikr of Allah. You're not really breaking up, going to have some food in the restaurant, coming back. No, you are in place until shuruq, until 10, 15 minutes after that, sunrise, and you offer the 2 rak'ah. This is part of your duha prayer, by the way. You offer the 2 rak'ah. It's like you have made Hajj and Umrah, not with the Prophet, complete. So without paying tickets, without going to the COVID-19 regulations and as well in the airport, you're getting the reward of Hajj and Umrah incomplete if you do those 2 rak'ah in the manner that I have said and I've spoken about and explained. طيب, Salat al-Duha, ya ikhwani, the best of the Salat al-Duha after these 2 rak'ah is the one which is close to the Dhuhr time. So let's say Dhuhr at the moment kicks in about 1 o'clock. So you start about 12:30. And Salat al-Duha has got no numbers. It is ikhtilaf. Most of the scholars, some of them they say 2, some of them say they 4, some of them say they 8, some of them they say 12, some of them say it's not a defined number, and the correct opinion actually there's no defined number. Because the hadith says you could pray 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, some 2, 2, 2. Salatul layli wal nahar mathna. Also said the prayer of the day and the night is to be 2, 2. Always the best of the day, 2 salutation, 2 salutation. And somebody prays, you don't have to count. So you pray 2 in the duha, and the duha will give you a palace in paradise. Now, Jazakallah khair for that question. Any other question? Zakat al-Fitr. What a good question, because we are at the moment in the time where Zakat al-Fitr questions should be targeted towards the people who should explain it. So what do you want to ask me about Zakat al-Fitr? Or shall I just explain in general? Okay. Zakat al-Fitr, ya ikhwan, the Prophet ﷺ, he had made the reason for it. And not all the ibadat, ya ikhwani, they are having the reason. Some of the ibadat you just pray for rak'ah dhuhr. But you know what is the hikmah for rak'ah? Why not 5 rak'ah? Why each rak'ah has got 1 ruku' and 2 sajda? You don't know the hikmah, do you? But you have to do it. But if the ibadah is being given a hikmah, which is very rare, it shows the importance of the ibadah, and also it gives you motivation to do the ibadah. Like the fasting. It's one of the ibadat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So the aim from fasting is taqwa. As for zakat al-fitra, we call it fitran as well, is the aim behind this is طهرة للصائم من اللغو والرفث وطعمة للمساكين. It is food, you give it to the poor people, and also to purify you from those things that you have indulged into while you're fasting, and you must have done. Whether it's a bad language or maybe raised up your voice and you're not supposed to do so, all of that will be cleansed, removed, expiated by zakat al-fitr. So this is the reason why we have zakat al-fitr. And zakat al-fitr, ya ikhwani, is food. It's not money. Yes, the masjid collected money, but he will give it to another party who will turn that money into food and then give it to the poor people in food. If you gave it the money into the hands of the poor person, it's not going to be accepted as a zakat al-fitr. It will be accepted as a normal sadaqah, general sadaqah. So the zakat al-fitr has to be food. So the Prophet said, "Ughnuhum," make them rich in food. So when this poor person comes to the Eid prayer, he's happy because he's got sacks of rice, sacks of dal, sacks of all of that. MashaAllah. Dal means lentil, by the way. One doesn't understand. Sacks of all of that. So he's guaranteeing food for his family for the next 3, 4, 5 days or a month. He will participate in joy. But he's got nothing in his house. He might not come even to Salatul Eid. اغنوهم في هذا اليوم. So make them rich in that day, the day of Eid. So zakat al-fitr is for that person. So I need to give it to the poor person in food. What type of food? Is the food which can be stored and from the food of the locals. So I cannot give, for example, barley to people who do not use barley except for their animals. You know, the barley. Okay, some people, they don't really eat it. They don't make any bread out of it. They make it for what? For their animals. Sha'ir. Okay. Some of them, they like the barley. They love it. They make chapati out of it. They make, depends upon what area it is. Wheat, beans. You know, beans is very expensive as well. All these dry food that can be stored. I don't need a freezer for it or a fridge for it. Because don't expect the poor person is going to have freezers and fridges. Imagine he's going to have lots of meat. Where's he going to put it? Where's he going to put it? So he's going to get rid of it. How? He's going to sell it. How? Cheap price. It's cheap price. Because he hasn't got, you know that this poor person is just wants money and he's presenting his, meat to you for any price. He just wants any money. So I'm not going to be helpful to him. He has to have what? Dry food. Corn, wheat, barley, curd, which is yogurt, which can be kept, hard yogurt, curd, lentil, raisins, not grapes. Grapes have to fridge. Raisins dried. Dates. Dates can be saved for years. Something can be stored. So you could put it there for him. And you could sell it if he wishes, but as long as he has got this food for him, he's happy. Alhamdulillah. How much? A sa'. Sa' is a volume, ikhwan. Sa' is a volume. It's not a weight. So sa' is 4 handful. 4 handful from the Hashemite hands. Hashemite hands is a medium size, like that. So it's not fully open. It's not closed. 4 throws of this, of rice. 4 throws of this, of barley. 4 throws of this, of corn, whatever. In kilo, maximum I have seen 2.6 or less. So each one is supposed to give 2.6. For that figure to be nice numbered, round numbered, 3 kilos. So 3 kilos. So you have yourself and you are in charge of your family, and your family is 10 people, including yourself. So you have to produce 30 kilos. 30 kilos of rice, 30 kilos of lentil, whatever you want. 30 kilos. Right. So the masjid now collects, in this masjid, 4 pounds, or 5 pounds. You put it 4 pounds. No, don't think you have to make it a good number. You have to make it sure that they are. What did you announce to the people yet? You haven't.
No, yes.
Okay. So you have to announce because you have to know how many people you see. So let's say that masjid had set it for 5 pounds. Let's set it for 5 pounds. So each person has to pay 5 pounds for himself and 5 pounds for each member of his family, even the baby. So you have babies, each one for 5 pounds. So you've got family of 10, 50 pounds, you put it in the box of the fitrana. Don't mix it up with any other money. It has to be with that. So the masjid now, when he takes the money, he's going to give it to, usually outside country. Those people who receive at the other end, they have to know how many people. If you don't bother about how many people, don't give them the money. They don't know what they're doing. So how many of the people, the masjid will divide. We've got, mashallah, 1,000 pounds for fitrana. How many people they got now? Huh? Come on, how many people? 200, of course, because each one is 500 pounds. 5 multiplied by 200 is 1,000. Simple maths. Thank you very much, maths man. Jazakallah khair. So 200. So if it's 10,000, how much? 2,000 people, yes? Because each one 5 pounds. So they will tell the other party, we've got 200 people had paid, and we got you 1,000 pounds. So the other people there, they will produce now how many kilos? How much? I didn't hear the number yet. 600, well done. 3 kilos multiplied by 200 people. They have to produce 600 kilos. Those are the one who's in Pakistan, whatever they are. 600 kilos. 600 kilos that are going to cost them, for example, 500 pounds. They've got a surplus of what now? Another 500 pounds. So they bought 500 pounds, 600 kilos. Khalas, they made the zakat al-fitr. Alhamdulillah. And this 500 pounds, they could do whatever they like with it. Not to put in their pockets, of course, no. They could buy cooking oil. They could give it money. Whatever they want, as long as they produce what? The 600 kilos for the what? for the 200 people who had paid. Do you understand the Ikhwani? This is very important, because if they don't understand that, in the other side, masjid will bear the consequences of the sin of everybody who had paid the money. Everybody who paid money, they will bear the sin for that. They have to investigate how these people in whatever country it is, they are doing this money. How do they do it? How are they giving it? It's not just, alhamdulillah, got the money, give the money, and that's it. No, akhi. You took this burden, you have to go all the way to the end. And it's very rewardable. To understand how did they make the food. As for distributing that there, they distribute 600. How they going to distribute 600 kilos? Very easy. They could give it to 5 families, 4 families, depending upon how many in the family. The other people there, they will know. This family consists of 10 people, will give them, for example, 50 kilos. Another family give them another 100 kilos. This one gives them 10 kilos, goes a husband and a wife, so on and so forth. It's not how many people. There's no such thing. We are limited to a number of people, of the poor people we're going to give the zakat al-fitr. No, we're not limited. But we're limited. We are really concerned how many people had paid zakat al-fitr. So the amount of money that you set for the masjid is very important, because you're going to add the whole number divided by how much you set the fitrana, and that gives you the number of the people. Jazakumullah khair. Now, zakat al-fitr is to be paid in the last 2 days. No problem in the masjid if you collect it from today. No problem. Even before that, no problem. But to be given to the poor people in the last 2 days. Why? Because you want to make them happy when they come to the Salat al-Eid. Now, Salat al-Eid, ya Akhwani, Zakat al-Fitr is to be paid before your Salat al-Eid. Do you understand that? Before your Salat al-Eid. But let's say you've forgotten and you gave it after Salat al-Eid of yours. Then the brothers can help you. If you could send it to a country where Salat al-Eid of those people, poor people, is not yet. It will reach them, it will be considered Sadaqat al-Fitr. So the most important thing is that for that food to reach the poor person before what? Their Salat al-Eid. Do you understand me? Before the Salat al-Eid of the poor person. Because it depends where's the poor person. If it's in America, it's different from Pakistan, different from Jordan, different from other country. Each one, because some Salat al-Eid different from the time-wise, Eid-wise. Some of the countries that started their Eid, their Ramadaan on al-Ahad, that, not on Saturday. Some of them the following day. So they might, if we're going to have Sunday Eid, maybe they're going to have Monday. If we had Monday, going to have maybe Tuesday. So like that. Nah, wallahu a'lam. Jazakallah khairan for that question. Any other questions, please?
Yeah.
Tafadhal.
If I'm earning with my own family but live under my father's household, can he pay zakat al-fitr on behalf of the whole household? If
anybody, very good, living in the family, he is like an adult, but he's living with his father, and his father is dependent, basically his dependence. Then the father will pay the money. But if you want to help your father, no problem. Can you give him? It's not that much. You're going to talk about £5 here. Okay. I've got sons as well who are independent. Who's married, for example, or a daughter, she's married. I'm able to pay on his behalf and his wife, but I have to, number one, to make sure that he knows that I paid. If I paid without him knowing, it will not reach him. He has to know, and he has to approve. The son of man has to approve. But for me, I will teach them a lesson. Let them pay. So they pay me so to feel, because it's very good for them to feel they are independent. They have to pay their own. If it's £10, nothing. They take more from me in my pocket than they give me. But I will make sure that they know what they are doing. Zakat al-Fitr. They have to feel it. They're giving the poor people.
If you're the only one that's practicing with the family.
The only person who's practicing will, mashallah, you are a hefty penalty here. You have to pay for everybody. Inshallah. But tell them what you're doing. It will not reach them until you tell them. But by the way, the zakat al-fitr, it's compulsory, and I need to pay it on your behalf as well. If you want to help, help. If you don't help, I'm going to pay it on your behalf. So if he said, no, I don't bother, it's not going to reach him. Don't bother even pay on his behalf. But he said, Jazakallah khairan, we'll pay on your behalf. Always the one who is religious bear the consequences. Alhamdulillah. And you'll get more reward on the day of Rasul. Now, do
you need to pay for the child that's not born yet?
Do I need to pay on a child? By the way, the sound has gone up. Have you noticed that the microphone has gone really up? I'm trying to. Have you touched it there? You made the ruqya on it or something? No ruqya on it? Like, the question is, do I need to pay on a baby in the womb? No. Unless he's born before the day or the sunset of the last day. So make sure that your wife, she gives birth after sunset. Because before you have to pay it. Now, further.
So can you give the money to the charity, but then you have to tell them before or after?
Tell them what?
Like to tell them that I'll pay on your behalf.
On whose behalf? You mean that?
My family, my family.
Yes. You have to tell them when you pay it. When you tell them, and I gotta pay.
But my wife, I can't tell them now. Like I tell them.
If you can't tell them, yes, alhamdulillah.
It'll work out.
Yes, it will work out. As long as they know before their salat Eid.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, and maybe they normally depend upon such person to pay on their behalf as well. Now, Jazakallah khair. Any other questions? Fadal.
What's the wisdom of Allah repeating stories in the Quran many times?
Why Allah Azza wa Jal repeating?
Like repeating stories.
Repeating story. Why Allah Azza wa Jal repeating stories so many times in the Quran? First of all, you will never find a story is matching 100% to the other story, which is another surah. You will never find that. You'll find some addition, some changes of words, something there. Okay. Number two, this is from the balagha. From the balagha. This is from the miracles of the Quran. That nobody can bring like this. You are saying the story in a way which is even looks the same, but in difference and also enjoyable. If you say a story to somebody and you came to him again to say the same story in your words, find the person, brother, you've said it before, boring. But the Quran is not boring. You'll find that Quran repeating the same scenario, but in a different way, adding something, and you're loving it. That's from the i'jaz of the Quran. Whereas we repeat the story, brother, I've heard the story so many times from you. Huh? That's why. Number three, we say as well that at-tikrar yuaddi al-istiqrar. That's a principle. At-tikrar, repeating something, it will entail settlement. If I repeat something on your head, it will settle. Number four, not all the stories being repeated so much. Surah Yusuf. The story of Yusuf repeated only twice in the Quran. One which is in the chapter of Yusuf, and another in another surah. And in the one chapter of Yusuf, mashallah, there's plenty of them. And you see here, that shows the greatness of that story. So if it's being repeated here in different ways, it shows you how great is that story, how important that person is mentioned in the story. Some of the stories been mentioned without names. For example, Mu'min Ali Fir'aun. We know his name? I don't know his name. The believer amongst the people of Fir'aun who had believed. We don't know his name. His name is Mu'min Ali Fir'aun. وجاء رجل يسعى we don't know who's that man. We know he's a man. We don't know who it is. Okay. Allah Azza wa Jal spoke about the ant. He gave an example of a spider. Ants and spiders. This Surah Al-Naml, Surah Al-Ankabut, Surah Al-Naml, ants. Surah Al-Ankabut, spider. Surah, the spider. That spider, which is one, you kill it. You see it, how? Let me wipe it. Allah makes a surah about it. Because you don't know how this little animal, creature of Allah, what sort of things he does to build his house. Yet in أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون. It takes a long time to build, yet is with a blow, it's finished. Allah gives an example for that. The ants, udkhulu masakinakum. Just telling the ants, oh my God, Sulaiman and his soldiers are coming, they're going to crush you. Enter. فَتَبَسَّمَ ضَاحِكًا مِنْ قَوْلِهَا. He was really smiling because he knows the language of the ants. Imagine you hear the ants look at each other. Guys, these guys are going to crush us. You're going to laugh. So he laughed because he knows the ants, how they communicate. Now, after how many years from that, these days, we've seen that really they've got houses, proper houses. You know that? Proper houses. The ants' kingdom. You know, so that you see them, for example, let's say in the fields. You see the big massive thing and the ants coming from it. Do you know what's coming inside there? Just Google it. Say the house of the ants. Wallahi, they've got houses and streets and they've got, this different towns inside the earth. Amazing. They made excavations or whatever they call it. Huh? tunnels and yeah, tunnels. Wallahi, it's amazing when I saw this. Some a hole as big as this, Inside it, the houses for the ants. Amazing creature of the world. So I would say to you, as well as a last note, always, ya ikhwana, it's not good to ask why and why. Why Allah repeated stories of the Quran? You're in doubt of what Allah just did. I'm not saying that about you. Why Allah made the 4 rak'ah, Dhuhr is 4 rak'ah? Why Allah Azza wa Jalla? Don't ask why. We say, Sami'na wa ata'na. We hear and obey. No question. But the question can be rephrased in the following manner. Is there a known wisdom that the scholars talked about regarding XZY verse, regarding XZY hadith? Something that the people, because if there isn't, I'm submitting anyway. If there isn't, I'm submitting. But something to help me to produce or present this to a non-Muslim. Yes? So alhamdulillah, we've learned a lot why Allah repeats these Quran stories this is one of the miracles of the Quran. That you will never get bored of any stories. Mentioned in Surah Musa is the one that mentioned all the time. Story of Musa alayhi salam. We find it everywhere. Amazing. The journey of Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam was mentioned so many times, more than the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whom they accused him is to be the one who had forged the Quran. Yet he doesn't read nor he writes. وما كنت تتلو من كتاب أو تخطه بيمينك ما كنت تتلو من قبل من كتاب أو تخطه بيمينك إذا لارتاب المبطلون. The ones who got something wrong in their heart, if you were writing and a scribe, they will have doubt about you that you have forged it. But he was what? Illiterate. نبي أمي. Now, طيب. I'm looking at the time. I'm looking at you. Have a question? تفضل يا فيصل. يلا يا فيصل. Toronto, wherever you are from. يلا يا فيصل. He's not opening his microphone, ya Sheikh. Can you just speak up, please, Faisal? طيب Zahid, are you there, ya Zahid? Huh? Hello, assalamu alaikum. Zahid, are you there? Oh my God, I blocked everybody. Zahid, can you speak up now?
Sheikh, yes, sorry, I'm here now.
Glucose dropped down. Is that glucose dropped down?
No, I transferred to my mobile phone and I lost the co-host.
Okay, Faisal is not answering. I don't know why.
No, because I wasn't able to unmute him, so I'll unmute him now.
Okay, you are the one who's imprisoned him. Okay.
Yes, salam alaikum. He imprisoned me.
This is Zahid. It's not my problem. Take it up with him. Nah, tafadal.
He has released me. Salam alaikum, Sheikh. Sheikh, real quick, before Ramadan, I had asked you in a class if the good deeds in the month of Ramadan, if they multiply. And you said no, they do not multiply, but they are of a higher flavor. But in another class in Luton, you'd say the deeds do multiply. So I just wanted to get a clarification.
Multiply in the quality. Some scholars say the quantity. They always multiply. They multiply in quality. Of course, Ramadan's deeds multiply. But we don't say, for example, if you paid now a zakah of 1 dinar is going to be, for example, Laylatul Qadr will be equivalent to 1,000 dinar because the month of Laylatul Qadr is equivalent to 1,000 months. We don't say that.
And Sheikh, since I'm the only one, since we have time, can I have one quick question, Ramadan related, please?
Any questions here, brothers? Okay, Fadal. Last question.
Yeah, Jazakallahu khairan. The hadith that says that for the fasting person at the breaking of the fast is a freeing from the hellfire. Does that mean that person was destined to the hellfire and his fast saved them?
That's why some of the scholars, this is on this question, when we say that Allah Azza wa Jal has people who set from the hellfire every night, does that mean the person is destined to the fire? I mean, that's he's been set free from the hellfire. And that's why we find some of the scholars that are not really keen about saying the following dua: Allahumma atiq riqabana minana. Oh Lord, save us and set us free from the hellfire. Because you said that means you're already being what? Casted to hell. And you're saying, oh Lord, release me from the hellfire. The dua is still there, no problem. And the interpretation of this which is وَمَا مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا كَانَ عَلَى رَبِّكَ حَتْمًا مَقْضِيًّا. Every person is gonna go in it. This is decreed. So Aisha, she heard this, she said, everybody gonna go to the hellfire? Say, no. Allah says, وَنُنَجِّ. The following verse, we will say, you're gonna pass over the hellfire. Even the prophets are gonna pass over the hell, which is the bridge. So that's the interpretation. You're gonna pass over the bridge, but Allah will destine you to be saved from falling into the hell. Wallahu a'lam. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Our Shaykh al-Halabi, he was not keen about rahmatullah alayhi, Allah mercy upon him, regarding this dua, Allahumma a'tiq riqabana min an-nar. Our Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, he says no problem to say that, inshallah. Now, fine. Yalla ya habibi.
A question outside the topic.
Outside the topic. Deen or carpenting? Alhamdulillah, tfaddal. No plumbing, tfaddal.
You go to Janaza.
Naam.
Could you tell me the do's and don'ts?
If I'm going to Janaza, the do's and the don'ts. Okay. When you come to the Janaza, you're coming for the sake of two things. Number one, elevate your hasanat. Number two, benefit the person whom you are coming to participate in his funeral. Benefit him with a dua. So bear that in mind. It's not going there because you have a social burden on you. It's not because if you don't turn up, people are going to say, why didn't you turn up? No. And if you are a person who is righteous, well known in the community to be sheikh, student of knowledge, make sure that the person you're going to join his funeral is not a person who was known to be an evildoer, because you want to be as a deterrence. How? When the people say, why sheikh was not there? Because, you know, he's a thief, this man who died. Or he died by committing suicide. So you don't participate in that funeral. Even if he committed suicide as a Muslim, still a Muslim. Yes, his punishment, Allahu A'lam, is going to be out in the day of resurrection, which is going to be severe, but still a Muslim. So the do's is that you bear that in mind, that you are doing for the sake of Allah, you are hoping for the reward. And from the do's as well, you make sure that you accompany the janazah until it's been prayed upon, and the do's as well, to accompany it until it's been buried. And when you are now doing this, we will say as well, if you have washed the deceased, then it is recommended to wash yourself, have a ghusl. And if you have carried the deceased, it's recommended for you to make wudu. As for the don'ts, all types of bid'ah. So if the janazah is going by car to the cemetery, make sure that you don't really race that car. You have to be behind. But if you are walking, then no problem to walk behind, on the side, even in front of the janazah. But if you are mounting car, you cannot be in front. You cannot arrive to the cemetery before the janazah, to be after the janazah. And means after the janazah means with the janazah, but not before it, not to precede their cars which have shortcuts. No, be behind the janazah. From the don'ts is the people as well. They do not understand the etiquettes of the funeral. For example, some of the people, they come to the cemetery and they bring flowers. And this flowers is not from the etiquettes of Islam, putting flowers there. From the etiquettes of the, as well, not to do in the cemetery, is the raising up of their voices in the kalima. You must have heard them when they lay down the kalima. What's kalima? What is this? Lie. So I was with the janazah, and this person, as soon as he pulled that janazah from the car to take it to the grave to walk a bit, he said, kalima. I said, no kalima, akhi. Shh, quiet. No talk. No kalima. Just quiet. As soon as you go to the grave, we laid it down. Bismillah wa ala millati Rasulillah. That's it. Well, unfortunately, we have kalima, and our countries, we don't have kalima. We have Quran recitation in the bus or the van that carries the deceased. I don't know if you know that. Quran will be in Pakistan, same thing. Quran. And from the don'ts as well, those people who are taking the deceased, they are communicating the kuffar. Their car is black. Wallahi, if I'm the one who carried the deceased, I'll carry it in a white car. Pure white. Why black? Subhanallah. And also, they cover the coffin, the box where the deceased is, by a piece of cloth is green. Why? More worse, that cloth has got Quran on it. You humiliate the Quran. So if you are there, take that, wrap it together, brother, put it inside. We don't want it to put it on the deceased. Don't put it in this, don't show it up there. It's not from the Sunnah. Do it with firmness. Because these people, they don't know what they're doing. They are in this profession, but they're not really doing the Sunnah. They're doing what the people want. What do you want? We put you. Anything? You want nasheed? We'll put you nasheed. SubhanAllah. From the dance as well, there's a grave dance. Have you heard about the grave dance? This is an updated sort of religion. Allah al-Musta'an. In Oldham, in Manchester, they made the grave dance. Muslims, with topis on top of their heads. So there are about 10 people, maybe 10, they're together and they're outside, and they're Pir Sab, waiting next to the grave. They are from the Brainley thing. And these guys, they are dancing, but the music of theirs is a whistle, for referee whistle. So you're doing, and you're changing the movement. Just put grave dance in Oldham, Manchester. You will see it, and you'll laugh. And the Pir Sahib is waiting for them. Then after they came and they started reciting Quran. What more bid'ah do we need now? This is from the dance. When you come with the grave or with the deceased, don't say anything except for good. For the angels are present and they would say Ameen onto your dua. When the person dies as well, don't say something bad. Angels are present. Okay? The deceased man who's dying, he would see the angels. You don't. You will see them sitting, coming down and waiting for the angel of the death coming down and taking the soul of his. You don't see. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْكُمْ وَلَكِنْ لَا تُبْصِرُونَ. You can't see. He can see. Even it's been mentioned by Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, one of the shuyukhs. He was talking, وَعَلَيْكُمْ السَّلَامُ. Because the angels, when they descend down, سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ. They will say, peace upon you. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. At the end of the verses, they will come down to say, calm down. Don't worry. You're going to go to Jannah. They're coming to you. And you see them as a dying person. So one of the shuyukh, he said, wa alaykum as-salam. It's like one of the angels said, salamu alaykum. He replied to him, they can't hear, only the deceased can hear him. Wa alaykum as-salam. Waiting for the angel of death to come to take the soul in a nice way. Whereas the evildoer, they will come in a different ways, these angels. These angels are signed for the hellfire. They'll come with bad shrouds, a'udhu billah, for your soul. And they will be very looking bad, horrible, terrifying, waiting for the angel of the death to come and take your soul. So, we don't want to be in that sort of category. We want to be the categories of the believers. The angels will be with us. As soon as you die, they will be with you. Peace, don't worry, calm down. Allah takhafu, don't be scared. They will be with us when we come out of the grave. They come to us with mounts, like special mounts to go to the land of the gathering. So we taking the dust away from your head and everything. Don't calm down. Salamun alaikum. Peace. Give you the mount all the way to go to the land of the gathering. Subhanallah. He escort us with us, the angels with us. They are with us to calm us down. Because it can be terrifying, bro. So this is inshallah to show that how the person who's a believer dies and how is a'udhu billah, shaitan does. Lots of don'ts and do's, but the best of the books to read is Ahkam al-Janaiz of Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah. Quickly, I can't give you an answer quickly, just go ahead.
Okay, once the person in the grave, you cover them up. After, do you make any dua?
Okay, do I need to make dua after I bury him? Once you bury the deceased, I'm not going through the etiquette of everything there, just a glimpse of that. When you bury him, this is from the Sunnah as well, to take 3 handfuls and throw it towards his head. Just throw it like this. Throw the handful. It's not to say minha khalaqnakum wa fiha nu'idukum wa minha nukhrijukum taratan ukhra. That's not correct. You just throw the 3 throws onto his head. And after that, from the companions and from the Prophet ﷺ is to sit down with the deceased. The amount of time is about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. حتى تنحر الجزور, just like when you slaughter the camels and the meat is being distributed. That time, that much, to sit down, to comfort him, make dua for him. Yes, you make dua for him. Because the Prophet said, Salu li akhikum al-tathbit, fa innahu al-ana yusal. Ask for your brother, that Allah will give him a firmness in his answer, for that he's being questioned now. So you make dua to him, and Allah will give him a firmness. But this dua is not dua together. Come on, Shaykh, make us dua. Say, Ameen. No, it's each one is individual. And the best of the one who can make dua for us is the Prophet of Allah. He did not dictate the companions. Come on, say behind me, Allahumma, Allahumma, ighfir lahu, ighfir lahu. He didn't say that. He said, ask for him forgiveness, for very, or a firmness, for very is now being asked. So he told them to each one in his own way to give dua to that list. And that's how we should do it. Okay, inshallah. Each one with his own dua. Some people stay 1 minute, some people go straight away, some people more 5 minutes. But the ones who are the relatives, they should stay there more. But unfortunately, the relatives, they go quickly. The inheritance, they want to divide the money as quickly as possible. Now,
so you find a lot of times with the imam who says the congregation dua. So you just raise your hand and do your own dua independently.
no, if the imam is doing a talk, that's different.
No, this is dua.
Dua, no, you don't do it. You do your own.
So you
Don't join the congregation. Don't join the congregation of this dua. This dua is bid'ah. But if the imam is giving a talk, and this reminder should be one in a blue moon, not all the time. Not every time we're going to have everybody say, Sheikh, make us a talk. No, it's not correct. First of all, I gave one talk. We have seen it. We're not going to use it as a trend for us to follow every time. Not correct. But the imam, you could see, oh, people, I will never see them in any masjid. Let me grab this opportunity and give them dawah. I mean, some people are elite. When they die, only they show up where? In the graveyard. So let me give them a spank or whatever you call it. Because this is hit on the head to remind them. No problem. But every time somebody dies, no, it's not correct. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Subhanak Allah bihamdik.
Sister had a question.
Okay, sister question. Yalla.
Zakat al-Fitr is paid for non-Muslim family.
Zakat al-Fitr, very good question. Not to be given except for Muslims, ya ikhwan. Sadaqah, you could give it even to the non-Muslim. The normal zakah, there is a branch of that to give it to the one who is about to embrace Islam, even if he's not a Muslim, but not sadaqat al-Fitr. Prophet said, "Ughnuhum," poor Muslim people, is for them to participate in Salat al-Eid. Wa subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Jazakumullahu khairan. Barakallahu.